Bethany, and today I want to talk to you about a topic that is super relevant to me, and I'm guessing is super relevant to many of you as well. It's the topic of singleness. Being single, not having a boyfriend, not having a guy that likes you, just being you with no guy around. And that is me in life. I am totally single, and I'm sure many of you can relate to me. So this video is directed towards all the single girls out there. I don't know about you, but I've found myself as a single girl going through seasons or times or even moments of feeling maybe discouraged or fearful or discontent or full of worry or just whatever it is. I've found myself kind of going through those hard times in life. And it could be anything. It could be maybe you look on Facebook or on your social media site and you see like, oh, another person's got engaged. Oh, that person's having a baby. Oh, look, this person is getting married. You see all these things and you're like, oh, I wonder if that's ever going to be me. Am I just going to be single forever? Will any guy ever like me? Or maybe you live in a really small town or you go to a small church. I go to a small church, so I can understand that. And you feel like, how is a guy even supposed to find me? I live in this tiny little town, or I go to this tiny church, and I don't even know anyone that I would be interested. So there's so many different things that can, if we focus on them, really cause us to feel discouraged or discontent. And so I've been there at times in my own life, so I can relate to you in those areas. But I found that there is something, and if I do this something, it completely takes away all of my fear, all of my worry, all of my discontentment, and truly brings me so much peace and joy and just excitement about life. And I want to share this with you today because I really believe that if we as single girls can change our perspective on this and can change the way that we view life, it really will transform our lives from being just enduring this season of singleness to really trusting in God and living in it to the fullest. Now, here's what I've done. I've come up with 4 different stories from the Bible that I can remind myself of, and these stories are examples of how huge and massive and awesome and mighty God is. And when I remind myself of these specific stories in the Bible, which I'm going to share with you in just a minute, it changes my perspective and it reminds me of who God truly is. And I remind myself, wow, that God that I'm reading about in the Bible, He is the God of my love life. He is the God who did these incredible miracles, this awesome work, who proved Himself to be so almighty and massive. And He's the same God that still exists in heaven. He's the God that saved me. He's the God that I'm trusting in for my eternal salvation, that I'm going to spend eternity with in heaven. And He's the God that is truly in charge and in control of my love life. And He is so big and awesome. And when I focus on these specific verses that I'm going to share with you, I seriously have no reason to fear, no reason to worry. And I actually am filled with so much joy and like, why am I worried? I have nothing to worry about. God's got this. So let me share with you the 4 stories that I have. And then I want you to either take these stories as your own, these verses as your own for you to focus on, or to come up with some others that might be relevant and really encouraging to you. So the first one that I have is from, let me look at my notes so I can tell you the right verse that you can look it up, is Judges 7. So Judges 7 is talking about Gideon and the army of Israel. Now Gideon had a very small army, I think about 32,000, and he was going up against the Midianites who were way, way far outnumbered him. But God decided to show Himself so mighty in Gideon's life and in the Israelites' lives, and He shrunk Gideon's army all the way down to 300 men, but then completely wiped out the Midianites and won the battle. And God showed him, you know what? It's nothing in and of yourselves that made you win this battle. It was all me. I am so almighty, all powerful, and I get all the glory. And when I think about that, I go, wow, the circumstances were impossible. Gideon, 300, the Midianites, thousands and thousands, and Gideon's army, they ended up beating the Midianites. Wow, they could take no credit. That was all God. So that's one story that really, really encourages me. Another one is from Exodus 14, and you might be very familiar with this. It's the Red Sea. When Moses, God helped Moses, or God parted the Red Sea, but took Moses as the leader and led all of them through the Red Sea to escape from Pharaoh. And that is an impossible situation, parting a sea. I mean, I can't even imagine parting like a little sink of water, but God parted the entire Red Sea, an impossible circumstance, and showed Himself so mighty. So that's another one that really, really encourages me. The third one is David and Goliath, another basic story from the Bible, but that is so encouraging. David, this untrained man, young boy going against Goliath, this mighty warrior, and God helps David defeat Goliath. God is so incredible and so amazing. And then the last one is Daniel in the lion's den, which we're all familiar with as well, most of us. And that's just so incredible. Daniel in the lion's den, God closes the mouths of the lions and Daniel escapes completely unharmed. And those are my 4 different verses. And Daniel in the lion's den was from Daniel 6 and David and Goliath from 1 Samuel 17. I don't think I said that. But those verses so encourage my soul and my heart and even me as a single, because I remember, wow, that same God who did those incredible, miraculous acts is the same God who is in charge of my love life. And when I focus on how incredibly huge God is, all my fears of romance and guys completely diminish, because I know that if God wants a guy to notice me, or God wants me to be in a relationship, or God wants me to get married, that nothing is going to stop him, because anything is possible with God and he can make that happen. So my job is to focus on serving him, loving him, living for him, and he can take care of my love life. So I challenge you to write down a couple passages that show how big and massive and mighty God is. And the next time you're feeling discouraged about your love life, pull those verses out and remind yourself, hey, this is the God that I serve. This is the God in charge of my love life. And if he can do all of these things, surely he can take care of my love life. And I guarantee you that if you can focus on those things and change your perspective on who God is, that your fears of being single or your fears of not being noticed by a guy will completely diminish. It's proved to be true in my life, and I'm sure that it will be true in yours as well. I hope that was encouraging. I would love to hear from you girls and hear about how you handle being single and what you do when you're discouraged or discontent. Leave your comments in the section below. I'd love to talk with you. Bye.